We all know that prime rib is the ideal cut for special occasions, but there's a lot of pressure on us to get the ideal doneness. Here's the technique for you. The sous vide techniques allows you to get precision doneness on anything you put in a vacuum seal. What I'm going to put in is a prime rib. The benefit of cooking this prime rib in a sous vide technique rather than in a traditional oven technique is that I can have accuracy of doneness, but you also get better yield. Less dry heat means that I'm going to have less water loss. Also, it's a clean technique. I'm able to not dirty up a bunch of pans, and also it saves on energy. I don't have to have the oven going for a large amount of time. So let's get started on what the equipment you're going to need for this technique. An immersion circulator. Pretty cheap. This one now they're getting cheaper and cheaper, probably under $200 and you can get one of these circulators. A container that you can put a large amount of water into. And you can I'm using the clear one so you can see what happens here. This is a Lexan container, but you can also use a stock pot as long as the clip by the manufacturer makes sense for the edge of what you're using. I also need a Food Saver vacuum sealer. This is a Food Saver brand vacuum sealer with a large vacuum seal bag. Later I'm going to use the roasting pan to put a sear on it for afterwards. And then we need a quality roast. And that's where Certified Angus beef comes in. Take a look at the marbling in this roast. That's what you look for, the abundance of marbling within the lean. And that is a quality prime rib. Okay, let's get this prime rib ready for the circulator, meaning we're going to get ready for its cook. First, I want to trim off the excessive tail on here. During a traditional cook, I might leave some of that on there, but in the sous vide technique, I want this tail to be trimmed nicely. Just a small fat cap on the exterior is all we want. We get rid of that tail. And if there's an excessive amount of fat on the outside, you can trim that off. But as you can see, that's not very large on this one, so it's kind of perfect. And then we season this up and put it in the vacuum bag. Salt and pepper is all I use. Coarse kosher salt, fresh cracked pepper, but very generous on this roast and all the way around. This is going to spend a good amount of time in the vacuum sealed bag circulating in a hot water bath. The face there, wow, it's got good marbling. Oh, look at that too. The chuck end looks fantastic. That may seem like a lot of salt on there, but it's really not, considering that this is a 4.5 to 5 pound roast. So we need to have it, we're trying to get it seasoned throughout the whole thing. So I've got a large vacuum seal bag to slide this into. And then we're going to look for a flat part about right here to vacuum seal it. So I'm going to cut this just a little bit. Nice clean edge. All right, so we'll get this in for the vac seal. Put it to operate. Press vac seal. And once that light goes off, it's ready to go. And let's check the vac seal, make sure it's where we want it. Good, it's all sealed, and then it's ready to put into this water bath. So I've set the circulator to 131 degrees. What the circulator does is maintains the temperature that you indicate. And so we're going for 131 degrees for a long amount of time, meaning this is going to go 6 hours for a roast that's about 5 pounds. But after 14 hours, it can kind of get mushy, so we don't want to go past that. So you can get the same results in that window of 6 to 14 hours. It takes the temperature of the water, it maintains the water, and it also circulates the water. So this water bath is circulating so that all areas of this water is ideally the same temperature. The roast we know is cold, right, when we put it in. It's just that amount of time that we need for the roast to come up to 131 degrees. 131 degrees being a safe temperature to ride at for that amount of time so that we don't have any potential bacteria problems. If you prefer it more done than medium rare, put the circulator targeted at 5 degrees below your target doneness. So we're going to let this ride for 6 hours and be back in a bit. So at this point, our roast is fully cooked all the way through. So it's 131 degrees all the way through this prime rib. We're going to take it out of this bag and apply a char on the outside, because I got to tell you, it does not look that pretty right now. But we're going to make it pretty by getting a good crust on the outside. So let's pull it out of here and put it on these paper towels just to blot it dry. just to get the excess moisture off of it so that we can apply a good sear on the outside. So let's pat it dry, but make sure we not get rid of all of our nice seasoning on there. If you want, here's a good chance to actually add additional seasoning if you'd like herbs and things like that. But I will try to accelerate the sear by adding a little oil to this surface, meaning it's moist all the way through, and we're going to introduce it to a really high heat, a hot oven at 500 degrees, and I want to make sure we accelerate that to get a good crispiness, like we know prime rib to be. Good crispy outside and perfect doneness inside. From there, we can just set this into our roasting pan and go into a 500 degree oven. Oh, let's pull this beautiful roast out. Oh, look at that. So we got an all over sear. Let me set that here. Another way you can get a sear, and a lot of people do this, is by using a torch. I like the natural flavor that the oven gives me for that technique. Also, the rib has this cap muscle on it, so it can handle that high heat of 500 degrees, and actually it's better more than medium rare on that cap. So medium doneness is ideal, and medium rare doneness all throughout. I do want to still let that rest for about 5 to 10 minutes before I go ahead and slice into it. I don't have to wait as long as a traditional technique on a roast, meaning I don't have to do 15 or 20 minutes, but since we introduced that high heat of 500 degrees, we still want to give it time for those juices to redistribute. Let's get some tongs and we'll lift this guy onto the cutting board to let it rest for just 5 or 10 minutes. Good heavens, that's heavy. Great. I'm glad we did the foil because now cleanup is going to be super easy. Let's let it rest a bit and then we'll slice. So before we slice into it, I'm curious. I want to take an additional temperature of this, knowing we were at 131 when we started. Oh, at 131, 132. So we only climbed just a little bit on the internal temperature, if at all, but the exterior's got that nice crust on the outside. Let's go ahead and slice into this beauty. About a 1/2 inch slices, what I'll go for. Oh, and you can see perimeter to perimeter doneness. That's the advantage of sous vide cooking. So to review, we put a prime rib in a vacuum sealed bag, in immersion circulator for at least 6 hours, and then we put it in the oven at 500 degrees for only 15 minutes to get an exterior crust on it. Boom, prime rib at its best. For additional cooking videos, check out CertifiedAngusBeef.com.